The Houston Rockets suck. And we hate to start off the video that way, but it's the absolute truth. They're currently dead last in win percentage, second to last in points scored per game, third from last in field goal percentage, third from last in defensive rating, and second to last in three-point percentage. So they literally can't do anything right. Whether that's the result of them tanking for Victor Wembanyama, the result of them being a young and inexperienced basketball team lacking quality coaching, or some combination of all of that. And that's no offense to their head coach Stephen Silas, but he doesn't seem to be cut out for a rebuilding team. We think he learned that early in the season when he said this after a disappointing loss. They are not giving the effort on the defensive end, Silas said. They are not getting after it like they're supposed to. They are not getting into their man or fighting over the screens and helping each other. They are not doing what they are supposed to do. This team can score, but to let guys line up for wide open threes, we do not do that. Over these last few games, this is not how we are supposed to play. This is not us doing all of the things we talked about all season. It's not. We can feel his frustration from here, and when watching them, it's not hard to understand why. But they do have someone on their roster who might just be the guy to turn things around in Houston. And no, we're not talking about Jalen Green or Jabari Smith. We're talking about the 20-year-old big man, Alperen Şengün. The Turkish-born big was drafted back in 2021 and was picked at number 16. And while he did put up a solid 9 points, 5 rebounds, and 2 assists his rookie year, it's this season that he's proving to the NBA that he has all-star potential. He's averaging 15 points, 8 rebounds, and 3.7 assists per game while shooting 56% from the field and 75% from the free throw line. He's putting up really solid all-around numbers. But why exactly does he have all-star potential? Let's take a deep dive into his game to find out. First, let's start with his most unique and arguably best attribute, post scoring. The 6'11", 240-pounder is already 12th in the NBA behind Giannis in points per game off of post-ups. And not only that, but he's 8th in the NBA among centers in shots within 5 feet from the basket. So he's among some of the best centers in the league when it comes to getting points down low. And here's why. When we mention big guys with incredible footwork, we usually only mention Embiid, Jokic, and Giannis, if you want to consider him a big man. But what if we told you that this 20-year-old's footwork is at the same level as those superstars? And because he weighs at least 30 pounds less than Embiid and Jokic, he has to use more of his finesse than sheer strength. He is more than fundamentally sound. He does a great job at sealing defenders under the rim before receiving a pass. And while you would think every big man in the game would do this well, you'd be wrong, or at least they don't do it as frequently and effectively as he does it. Just watching him play, you can tell this is something he's been coached on for a very long time, many years before he ever sniffed the NBA. But when he gets into the post, one of his favorite moves is the drop step. But it doesn't stop there. Because of his amazing ballerina-like footwork, he has the ability to drop step left, and if he feels like his shot will be blocked, he can quickly swing it back to the right. You don't see many players able to do that, and he's done it on countless solid rim protectors. It really is a thing of beauty. One of the most important qualities of being a great post scorer is having patience, and he's had that quality maxed out even since his rookie season. He will back you down for 5 to 10 seconds, and we are not exaggerating. He does it almost every game. And if you're a defender guarding him, he'll make you work. Because not only does Şengün back you down, but he throws a lot of head fakes and body feints to keep the defender on their heels. It's really insane when you realize just how young he is. Like, just imagine how good of a post scorer he'll be in his mid to late 20s. He already has every post move you can think of. He has a push shot or a mini floater, he uses the up and under, the step through, drop step, jump hook, and he's even starting to use the fadeaway a lot more as well. And once he starts getting more consistent from mid-range, he'll average over 20 points per game in no time. So we know his game 10 feet and in is already strong, but adding a consistent three-point threat could be a skill that makes him a nearly unstoppable offensive player. The value of running an offense through a center that can operate in the high post and beyond the three line is how it drags opposing centers out of the lane. Not only does this create wider driving lanes and easier rim attempts, but it also really creates more open passing lanes. Right now, Şengün's three-point shot is a bit of a non-factor. He's taking making just 0.7 threes a game and hitting them at a 33.3% clip. And no, we're not saying he needs to turn into Steph Curry from deep, but he needs to be reliable enough on open threes to consistently drag his defender out of the paint. But even without a good three-point shot, Şengün is still a plus offensive player. And again, he is very young, so he has all of the time in the world to continue to develop. Now let's talk about something other than scoring, his playmaking. He's 6th in the NBA in assists among all centers, and if his teammates were better shooters and would move around off the ball, there is no doubt he would be averaging a few more assists right now. Regardless of what the numbers say, he's an elite passing big man, even in year 2. The only 2 centers in the league who are dangerous as post playmakers are Jokic and Sabonis from the Kings, and now Şengün. He's already 4th in the entire NBA in assists per post-up, so just imagine for a second if he had better teammates. Rockets forward, Kenyon Martin Jr. definitely enjoys the dimes from Şengün, and honestly, he's probably one of the only players on the team who knows when and how to cut to the basket. When you're playing with an elite passer like Şengün, you always need to know the ball will find you if you move around and make yourself available. Just like his dad was, Kenyon is an athletic freak, so he's always cutting and slashing his way into the paint, whether that be on ball or off ball. In fact, even with Martin Jr. being only 6'7", he's currently 19th in the NBA in points off of cuts per game, and we're willing to bet the majority of those passes he's received have come from the Turkish big man. Now let's talk about his rebounding, and more specifically, his offensive rebounding. He's 10th in the NBA in offensive rebounds per game with 3.1. And offensive rebounds are much harder to grab and are more important than defensive rebounds, because offensive rebounds can lead to second chance points, whether that be a putback or a kick out to a three-point shooter. And we've all witnessed our favorite NBA teams lose off of that exact same scenario at one time or another. So Şengün is an elite post scorer, elite passer, and an elite offensive rebounder. Does his impressiveness stop there? Well, unfortunately, yes. Because on defense is where we see his most glaring problems. Nikola Jokic and Domantas Sabonis have been able to overcome some of their defensive limitations by getting a lot of defensive rebounds. The pair are both ranked top 5 in defensive rebounding, but unfortunately, that hasn't been the same for Şengün. He hasn't been all that strong on the defensive glass. His 22.3% defensive rebounding percentage ranks 31st, behind 21 centers, 6 power forwards, 2 point guards, and 1 small forward. That does mark an improvement from last season when he clocked in at 18.9%, but still, obviously, not great. But on the bright side, Şengün does possess the strength to become a plus defensive rebounder, but his lack of length may make it difficult for him to be in the top 5. There's really no way around it. Şengün will never be a plus one-on-one defender. He's a 6'9" center with an average wingspan, a decent but still only mediocre vertical and below average foot speed. No amount of basketball IQ will make up for the fact that his physical gifts are a negative on the defensive side of the ball. However, that doesn't mean he isn't a complete loss on that end of the floor, because as you know, the NBA is filled with superstars who have questionable defense, and they all make up for it with high-quality offensive production and schemes that limit their defensive shortcomings. But even after all of that, he still has some potential to be a good defender, maybe, at some point in his career. He's always willing to contest shots, and he's solid in the passing lanes as well. And as he builds strength and gains more experience, we think his defense will slowly come together in a serviceable way. And before you disagree, just remember, Brook Lopez was an average to below average defender for a long time. Now he's in the Defensive Player of the Year conversation. Domantas Sabonis, same thing. Was a terrible defender at the start of his career, but now he's really improved and has become the vocal quarterback for the Kings defense. The point is, it's way too early to officially guess his defensive potential, but in our opinion, with a little coaching and some experience, he'll be fine on that end of the court. All in all, he's one of the best young players not only on a bad Houston Rockets team, but in the entire NBA. Certainly one to keep an eye on. And if he keeps progressing each season, then maybe he'll give even Nikola Jokic a run for his money. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.